Hello, my name is John Billinger, and I'm here with my co-host,
Connor Keating.
and today we are going to talk about Dinosaurus. Ooh, ah! Dinosaurus, the 1960 creature feature, directed by Evern Eworth.
Jr.
Yes, produced by Jack H. Harris. Both of these men also produced and directed the 1958 classic The Blob. And this film stars Ward Ramsey, Paul Lukather. He was in
Friday the 13th, I guess, the fourth one.
Part 4, the final chapter. But as we all know, it was far from the final chapter. Also in this movie is Christina Hansen.
She was in nothing.
Alan Roberts, Greg Martell, and I just have to mention this, but if you look up this movie on Wikipedia and look who starred in the movie, the only person who has any Wikipedia page is Paul Lukather. So, yeah. Anyway, the film was distributed by Universal Studios, the original Monster Factory. And apparently, this film was originally supposed to star Steve McQueen. And Steve McQueen previously starred in the 1958 film The Blob, which was, produced and directed by the same guy. But I can only assume that he probably got an offer for some, little-known movie called, I don't know, The Great Escape, something like that.
Something like that.
I've never heard of that movie
It
before in my
sucked.
life. I've never... First,
That's a joke.
yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie. Actually, it says here he was in The Magnificent Seven instead. Sorry. Ooh.
A ripoff of Seven Samurai, it sounds like.
Yeah, actually, that movie was actually a kind of unofficial remake of Seven Samurai.
A lot of samurai movies were remade into cowboy movies back then.
Little known fact. Anyway, that's a bit of a historical background on the film. Now it's time for a bit of our background on the knowledge of the film. When did you first become aware of this movie?
I was thinking back to it, and I think I first found out about it from a pretty obscure YouTube channel. His name is just JK, but he had a series called Library of Monsters, very short-lived. But one of the episodes was over Dinosaurus and just kind of covering it. So that's how I first found out about it. And I think one of my online buddies, he's recommended me a lot of just great classic but obscure monster movies. And one of them was Dinosaurus, so I checked it out. I think I first saw it on YouTube, watched it, loved it, bought it on DVD, and a little while back I actually found a vintage lobby card for this film.
Yeah.
Got that hanging up. It's not a very exciting lobby card. It's literally a scene of people in a house.
Doesn't show any of the dinosaurs or the other prehistoric.
It has a dinosaur in the corner, like a T-Rex in the corner.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's got a little bit of flair to it, but it's not it's not like the T-Rex fighting the bulldozer or anything like that.
Yeah.
Or the crane.
I found about this movie in when I was 9, I think, back in 2010. Also on YouTube, there was a YouTube video. I haven't checked to see if it's still up. It was called "The History of Dinosaurs in Film." And it was basically just it was a clip montage of a bunch of movies that featured dinosaurs. Of course, though, actually, unfortunately, it skipped Gertie the dinosaur in 1913 and just went straight to The Lost World in 1925. But, it did feature other movies featuring dinosaurs, such as, Fantasia, and it counted Beast from 20,000 Fathoms and the Giant Behemoth.
I wouldn't count those. I think those are a bit more... I think once you start mutating the dinosaur, it doesn't quite count as a dinosaur movie anymore. That's just my personal...
The Radiosaurus and Beast from 20,000 Fathoms wasn't really mutated. It was just kind of woke up from
I think the original Godzilla is supposed to be just woken up, not really mutated yet. Scarred, but not mutated.
I see. Well, it was... I guess added on lore later on, I guess.
Yeah, that's more added on later on.
Yeah, and it also included a movie that my mom saw called... she saw this movie back in the 80s. The movie is Baby, The Secret of the Lost Legend. I think she said that she saw it on a date with this one guy. There was no second date. Let's just say.
Yeah, that's a crappy E.T. ripoff.
Yeah. Anyway, later on, but back to the video. I saw they had Dinosaurus on there, and they showed the clip of the T-Rex attacking the tour group. And I was kind of intrigued by that because it kind of reminded me of Jurassic Park. More on that later. So I went to search for the movie, and I found a trailer for it. And back then, and even still today, you can find the full movie on YouTube for free. I think there's even one where there's like a fan-made Mystery Science Theater 3000 commentary type thing. So you have options, I guess.
Yeah, it is on YouTube, and I checked it because I remember the quality of the video quality being really bad, especially when they first found the T-Rex underwater. Like I remember that, like it was super blurry, but I went and rewatched it, and it's pretty clear.
You have it on Blu-ray or DVD?
It's DVD, so it's still a little bit clearer than than what's on YouTube. But the one on YouTube is perfectly fine. I remember, I think I first watched it a super blurry version.
The version I watched on YouTube prior to this was kind of blurry as well.
Yeah, well, what year was that? Did you watch it? Because
I watched it a couple days ago.
Oh, you watch it for this?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't
we're
know.
probably looking at the same version then.
Yeah.
But like when I first watched it back in whenever, it was pretty bad.
Now, back when I was a kid, again, I was 9 years old. I did not judge movies based on how they looked.
Yeah.
So the version I watched probably did look pretty crappy, but I just don't remember. Because I remember around that same time that video also inspired me to check out the 1925 Lost World. And
because that's on YouTube.
And there's because it's public domain, and there's a bunch of different versions of that floating around.
That is like literally the best way to watch it. I bought Lost World. Yeah. I'm sorry, this is getting off track, but I bought that on DVD because it was at like a dinosaur museum while I was on vacation, and so I bought it, and then I watched it, and I'm like, wow, this is missing quite a bit of stuff.
Yeah,
it's still
there's
cool.
different versions.
Yeah, it's still cool to have it on DVD. But yeah, definitely definitive way to watch original Lost World is on YouTube and finding the one with the longest timestamp.
Yeah, Lost World. There's a Willis O'Brien classic we got to check out at some point. And but yeah, I watched it on YouTube back in 2010, and I thought it was okay. It was enjoyable. And then many years later, back in 2022, in fact, I was. They were coming out with the last Jurassic World movie, the Dominion, the one with the insects.
The boring one.
I'm not a big fan of the Jurassic World films.
Yeah, first one's fine. Second one's one of the worst things I've ever seen. Third one, not great either. They're not great films.
But anyway, back
to Dinosaurus.
But I saw that Dominion was coming out, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna do a quick marathon of all the Jurassic World movies, all the Jurassic Park movies, and the Jurassic World movies, just to say that I did that. And it was kind of an interesting marathon. It started up, let's say,
Pinnacle of Cinema
down to below the bottom of the barrel.
To the longest, most boring garbage movie you've ever seen.
Yeah, and I think I sprinkled in there some other non-Jurassic Park dinosaurs. Like I watched Land Before Time, Dinosaur, the Disney one.
Okay, yes.
From 2000.
The Iguanodon one.
Yeah.
That's a movie that I've not seen in quite some time.
You're not missing much. And then Dinosaurus. I think I also put that in there. And then, obviously, I watched it again for this podcast. So I'm just going to start with you. What are your thoughts on the movie? Do you like it? Yes or no?
Yeah, I really enjoy Dinosaurus. I think the best way to describe it, and this is going to sound mean, but it's not meant to be, but this is like a baby's first monster movie. I think that's the way that I would describe this film. Because it feels a lot like a kid's film. There's a lot of comedy to it. The action comes at you pretty often. It just has a very kids feel vibe, but like it's still a legit monster movie. Like people get eaten by the dinosaurs. Like so that's where I kind of say like this I think would definitely be. It's a good sort of introduction to very young kids. Like here's monster movies or here's dinosaur movies. Like Jurassic Park. I know my mom's got a funny story where she took my uncle to see it when he was very young, and he had a. Yeah, he was terrified by the guy getting eaten on the toilet. And so, like, it's like Jurassic Park might be a little bit too intense. It's also a very, I don't know, the first half is very slow. And so that's where I think Dinosaurus might be kind of like the best way, the first, like, scary, in quotation marks, dinosaur movie to show to kids. Whereas, like, something like Land Before Time is not quite.
Well, that's not really a dinosaur movie. That's just an animated movie.
Oh well, you know what I mean. But like
Well,
a
not
movie with
monster
dinosaurs.
movie,
A
right.
movie with dinosaurs.
All right. Well, I'm someone who's first I guess monster movies were the original King Kong and Jurassic Park. I think I watched those both when I was 5 years old. I know King Kong definitely was when I was 5 years old. I did not enjoy this film. I do not have the same level of enjoyment for this film. I think it's a bit slow at times.
Yeah.
It's
Okay. Yeah. It
childish
does.
And
It does
I-
have
I-
its slow moments for sure.
I don't feel like it has enough dinosaur action for me. That's just me, though. That's just me. But I'm not. I think it's okay, but in terms of what else this duo, the producer and director have done,
Yeah.
I prefer The Blob because The Blob to me feels like the perfect encapsulation of 1950s.
Monster movie.
Yeah, and teen films as well. Because those were both kind of like.
I need to rewatch it. The Blob, to really solidify my opinion on that because I've only seen it once. But I really wasn't too impressed with the original The Blob, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It scared me as a kid.
Yeah. Maybe that's just it. It's just like it's not like a film that I grew up with. It's something I've only seen once and I just need to give it a rewatch.
It scared me as a kid really bad.
Yeah. Oh, good thing you didn't see the 80s one.
Well, I did see clips of the 80s
Yeah.
when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was like, Anyway, onto the story of Dinosaurus, because I'm sure every single one listening to this are probably like wondering, what's the story?
What
of
the
this
heck
thing?
is a Dinosaurus?
Well, Dinosaurus, I guess it's technically plural because there's two dinosaurs. So, Dinosaurus takes place on a tropical island in the Caribbean or the Bahamas.
They said that in like the credits, like thanks to the Virgin Islands.
Okay.
And I looked it up just to make sure where it was, and yeah, it's like off of Cuba.
Yeah. Basically, there's this. It's like an island resort, I guess, where tourists go to, and there's this excavation company. They're excavating the beach for oil.
They're blowing up the beach. That's really all I know is they're detonating dynamite on the beach.
Yeah. Anyway, the guy who's in charge of this whole excavation project is kind of a real jerk. He has
Or the old guy, or like the guy with the beard.
the guy with the beard.
Yeah, well, no, he's the one watching the island. He's the island
yeah.
representative, and then the American dudes are the one doing the demolition.
Yeah, and then the guy running the who owns the island. He's supposed to look after this little boy, but he doesn't really do a good job at it.
No, he's
a
terrible,
get out of here, kid.
terrible stepdad. Do you find the kid annoying? Because his acting is terrible.
Yeah,
he can definitely be annoying, but I think the fact that he has this abusive stepfather forces you to like him a bit more.
Yeah, by comparison, he's a little better than the stepdad.
Yeah.
But I guess he was a little annoying.
He can be.
I remember when I was a kid, I identified with him.
Yeah, you identify him. Yeah.
A dinosaur kid.
Yeah, he's a dinosaur kid with his toy dinosaurs. This one's a vegetarian.
Yeah,
and T-Rex, he's like Brontosaurus more than people.
So anyway, the island excavators, they unearth, frozen underneath the water, two dinosaurs, a Brontosaurus and a Tyrannosaurus, as well as the frozen body of a caveman.
But they don't find out about the caveman until like a little bit later. The guy who owns the island finds the caveman and then hides him in a bush in order to make money off him. A bit more practical than taking a whole dinosaur,
Yeah. Now you might be wondering, John, how are a T-Rex, Brontosaurus, and caveman like frozen underneath the Virgin Islands when
come on.
they didn't live in the same time period and not in that area at all?
Why are you so confused by the fact
Well,
that
it's just kind
haven't
of
you
funny.
seen Godzilla versus King Ghidorah? Don't you know that seawater is cold?
Well, yes, but I don't think it can perfectly preserve freeze something. I mean,
Come on, to preserve King Ghidorah, it can preserve anything.
I can think of a few examples where animal remains don't last.
Yeah,
that
you'd
long
think that
underneath
the crabs and the octopus would really get to these guys, but
Yeah, I guess not. Anyway, it doesn't matter that much because
This is gonna be an
that
hour.
night there's a lightning storm that revitalizes the T-Rex, Brontosaurus, and Caveman, and they run amok on the island.
fortunately, it revives the Brontosaurus before the T-Rex.
Yeah, and the Brontosaurus becomes friends with the little boy, and that's nice and everything. But the T-Rex, just wants to kill everything. Basically,
T-Rex wants to kill everything. He also befriends the caveman, the little kid does.
Yeah. The caveman.
Dude, the caveman's awesome.
He's okay, I guess.
Going around hitting everything he sees with an axe.
The story, it's basically, it's a comic book kind of story, It's
Yeah, I
not-
think that's a good way of describing it.
you don't really
honestly.
have to think too hard about it. I guess that is kind of fun, but I think it's for me, it's not really presented in a fun way, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it's like a lot of like the main characters, they're kind of taken out of the film after a certain point. Because like once the boy runs away, then we're kind of and the caveman's revived, then we're kind of focused on them. Whereas all the other characters are kind of shoved to the side to the
Yeah.
finale. No, it is explained away. It's not like, oh, they just stop showing up. They're off setting up this castle or this church. I can't remember what it is.
It's like a fort.
Yeah,
or
it's
something
a
like that.
fort. It's a fort.
They're having all the island population move there. to protect
Yeah,
the
and
T-Rex.
they're like seriously fortifying this place, and then while that's happening, we're kind of in the jungle where we've kind of got the bad guys, the bearded guy and his two ruffians, after the caveman. The boy's trying to protect the caveman and the Brontosaurus. You've got the two American guys who are in there trying to locate the boy, and yeah, chaos ensues with the T-Rex.
Yeah, and it's just I don't know. It's something about the way it's presented and the way it's based. I don't know. It doesn't really feel that grabbing to me as well.
Not quite as exciting as other monster movies.
No, it just doesn't really. I don't know. It just feels a little slow to me.
Mm-hmm.
That's about how I put it. I think it could have moved on a little faster. Would have liked to see more T-Rex. I mean, I can imagine. I mean, they probably didn't have a lot of budget. It's kind of a lower budget. So
I mean, the effects are not bad.
no, and we'll get to those.
Yeah, okay. Because I really like the effects in this. Nice, very interesting.
Yeah. But do you like the story or?
Yeah, I think it's a solid story, and I mean, I think we're gonna probably get to it at some point. But like, this is a surprisingly influential film for a lot of movie guys. Lots of stuff.
Yeah,
taken from
there's
it.
one thing I can think of
Yeah.
that probably influenced, but we'll get to that. We'll
Oh,
talk
I think
about
I'm
the
thinking of a
effects.
different thing.
Oh, really? What are you
Yeah.
thinking of?
You're thinking Jurassic Park, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Aliens.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Power, big yellow machine beating the crap out of a monster.
Yeah. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's like a
That was an Aliens.
yeah.
Where with Ripley when she fights.
I'm pretty sure. I think James Cameron.
He probably did. I'm pretty certain that Aliens is also
That took
influenced by them.
Yeah, that took.
as well.
I know that for sure, but I'm pretty sure that at some point it's been stated that like, oh yeah, that was influenced by Dinosaurus, but I might be wrong on that. But there's definitely similarities.
Yeah, that James Cameron,
Oh,
sure
it-
likes being influenced
Sure
by
likes
films
stealing.
and not credit them at all. Like, I don't know if we have ever told you about this, but you're probably familiar with James Cameron's Titanic.
Sure.
Yeah, it's heavily influenced by another Titanic movie that came out in the 50s called A Night to Remember. In fact, there's like instances where it's the same shot.
That's crazy.
And everyone knows Titanic, but not many people know A Night to Remember.
Yeah,
So.
and then of course Avatar ripped off like Pocahontas.
Ferngully, Pocahontas.
Ferngully.
A lot of stuff,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, Anyways, back to Dinosaurus.
Yeah. Anyway, by the way, I just want to say James Cameron is not a bad filmmaker.
No, Aliens is like my second favorite film of all time.
Yeah. And as our video productions teacher says, it's like everything is pretty much influenced by something like that. So, it's like he knew to steal it, basically.
Yeah.
It's in his DNA as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
Anyway, but on the acting, I guess, what do you think of the acting in the film?
It's hit and miss. There are, I don't know, I think some of the more the comedic relief type characters, it's hard to say. It's like, is this hamming it up working or not? And I think like for like the drunk guy who's left to guard the dinosaurs, like I enjoyed him. I enjoy Dumpy, the guy who is driving the crane at the beginning. Like it's good enough to where like I like these characters or I hate them, like the guy, the bearded guy. I cannot remember his name for the life of me.
Who cares?
I want to say it's Harper or Parker or something like that, but
I think so too.
Yeah, he's you want to hate this guy, right? Like, and it feels like he is actually a mean dude. So it's like I think the acting does for the most part work. There is a bit of that sort of 50s 60s stiltiness here and there. The kid is not great though.
I just find the acting kind of stilted,
Actually, the caveman though, his acting I thought was he feels like a real caveman, to be honest.
I think he's the only one that kind of puts a little more into it.
Like it might also help the fact that he's not really like saying any lines, but like,
well, doesn't he make some noises like?
Yeah, he makes noises, and it's really interesting because he's like mimicking the sound of the radio. There's a guy talking on the radio. And he's kind of like mimicking the sounds almost. It's really it's really well done. I was surprised with that.
But yeah, and then finally onto the special effects in the movie, which to me, I think the special effects are the highlight. The special effects were done using stop motion miniatures, and for the budget, it's pretty good.
It also uses puppets. I think that's
it does use puppets as well.
It's like an interesting combination of effects where it's like for the shots where there would normally be like CGI today, that's going to be stop motion. But then there's also these just really cool shots. Puppets.
I don't think the effects though. Maybe this is a little unfair because they're kind of it's. I don't think they're as good as say Willis O'Brien.
No, it's not like the greatest stop motion of all time. But I think overall, like I enjoy like the dinosaur models themselves. I think they're well sculpted. I wonder who did the model or like sculpted them. I don't know if that's easy information to find.
Anyway, to answer your question, by the way, that you had, the dinosaur models were created by Marcel Delgado, who also created the original models for Lost World and King Kong.
Okay.
As well.
Yes, that's where it looks similar. It's the T-Rex lip.
Yeah.
It's the freaking T-Rex lip, like the way that it like flares and stuff. That's what it is. Okay. Because Harryhausen's all look like very distinct and different. Just like I don't know, like Harryhausen's have a very distinct style, and it's like Willis O'Brien's have a very distinct style, and that's because like it's the different artists that are sculpting these dinosaur models, and
And apparently the animation crew also used the Brontosaurus model and also the jungle set for a movie called The Odyssey of Flight 33 from 1961.
Oh my gosh, no, that's a Twilight Zone episode.
Oh, really?
Yes. The dinosaurs are only in that for like 5 seconds. It is literally just like it's entirely in a cockpit. There's guys, they're talking about how there's turbulence, and then they look outside, and then there's a pterosaur, and they see a brontosaurus, and then they're like, let's get out of here, and then they fly back, and that's the entire episode.
Well.
Very disappointing, but that's.
Well, where else can you find a connection but in the Twilight Zone? Anyway, also the dinosaur footage from this film was also used in episodes of a show called It's About Time. And apparently the roar of the T-Rex was also reused a lot in movies and TV shows later on.
Mm-hmm.
And also this movie was adapted into a comic book as well that I've at the antique shop in my hometown. I've actually seen a copy of it there before. I should buy
have bought
it.
that. That would be sweet.
It's been a while since I've last seen it there, but I'll have to check next time I'm down there, and maybe I'll buy it.
Mm-hmm. But when it comes to the sound, what did you think of the music, of the scores? Or did you really even notice them?
I remember it just kind of sounded like library kind of music from that time period.
Because I don't know, I really dig the soundtrack for that. Maybe it's because I have the DVD, and so I just left the menu music on. But I really dig the music for this, and I really feel like they did this. They probably didn't do this, but I feel like they did the score first, and then they had that opening title sequence where it's like the bomb. Bum, bum, bum. And then they're like, oh, we have too many and we have to match them up with the letters appearing for dinosaur. Call it Dinosaurus ! And then you have each one of those appear. It's like, all right, now it matches.
I wonder who came up with the title Dinosaurus.
Yeah.
It's $1 million.
It's a title drop in the film. The Dumpy, he's sitting on the crane and he shouts Dinosaurus when he spots the T-Rex.
I was gonna make a joke like it's $1 million title on a $100,000 movie. But anyway, and I believe this film was probably influential later on to Jurassic Park because there's a scene in the movie where the T-Rex he attacks a bus tour of the island, and some of the shots and kind of some of the way it's set up is very similar to the famous scene in Jurassic Park where the T-Rex destroys the two cars. Comes out of its cage and destroys the two Ford Explorers. In fact, one shot looks...
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that people have... that's a well-known fact is that, Dinosaurus influenced Jurassic Park.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Steven Spielberg, when he was he was a kid when this movie came out, I know he was influenced by Godzilla as well. For Jurassic Park, because he saw that when he was a kid, as well as King Kong, and I'm sure he probably did see a lot of movies like Dinosaurs. Yeah. Probably saw it, or at least one of the people involved in the production probably saw it. But
I'm sure what's the stop motion guy who worked on Jurassic Park or was in there for the first,
the animatronics.
No, the stop motion guy.
Oh, I don't know.
Or he did what's that? Oh, he did a short film that's really cool. I want to say that it's called Prehistoric Beast or something like that, where it's a Styracosaurus that gets eaten by a T-Rex. It's that guy, and it wouldn't surprise me if he was influenced. He also did Star Wars and stuff, stop motion for that. I can't remember his name.
Miyamoto. I'm sorry.
I want to say
Phil Tippett.
Yes, that's him, Phil Tippett. I'm pretty sure that he I'm sure he saw it because he's a stop motion guy. He's seen tons of old stop motion movies, Jason and the Argonauts and Seventh Voyage, all that stuff.
Yeah. Jurassic Park with stop motion. What a world that could have been.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the Jurassic World movies using stop motion?
Yeah, that would be...
I wish. It would give something more interesting to talk about those movies. Because it's comparing the shots of those films. It's Jurassic Park looks way better than Jurassic World.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of an oversaturation of CGI in the market.
Yep, it's sad.
See, that's why Dinosaurus is better than all of the Jurassic World movies. Can we agree on that at least?
Yeah, I will agree that this one is better than the Jurassic World movies. But is it better than Jurassic Park: The Lost World or Jurassic Park 3?
I would say it's better than Jurassic Park 3. Lost World and Dinosaurus, I probably prefer Dinosaurus, to be honest.
I like Jurassic Park 3 better.
Jurassic Park 3. I'm not a Jurassic Park 3 hater. That's the one that I watched the most as a kid.
Yeah. I did too, probably because of the Spinosaurus.
Spinosaurus, and
I also watched Jurassic Park 1 a lot as well.
I think 3 is the one I watched the most just because it was the tightest.
It's the shortest one. It's an hour and a half. It's it's basically a kind of a sci-fi channel B movie, basically. That's kind of the style of the director of that movie, Joe Johnston. He cuts his films down to a necessity, basically.
Yeah,
bare essentials. You can see that with a lot of other movies he's done, like The Rocketeer or Jumanji. But yeah, and in case you're wondering, the way I rank the Jurassic Park sequels, at the bottom you have, at the very bottom in a package you have the Jurassic World movies, and you just take that package and throw it away basically. And then under that you have the Lost World, and then Lost World Jurassic Park. We're saying the Lost World a lot. We're going to confuse people. They're going to be like, what are they talking about?
The Lost World Jurassic Park.
Yeah. And then above that, Jurassic Park 3. And above that, an empty space. And above that, an empty space. And above that, Jurassic Park.
Let's see. I've got a list where I've ranked every dinosaur movie that I have ever seen. And Dinosaurus is number 5 in between The Land That Time Forgot and the... I don't know if it's the original Journey to the Center of the Earth, but one of the earliest ones.
What's number 1?
Jurassic Park. Followed swiftly by At the Earth's Core, the greatest 70s movie with Peter Cushing in it.
Peter Cushing.
There is definitely...
That man was a god.
It's not like there was any... he was in any other movie the year after that was anything big.
Yeah, well, there was one with a train that he was in, the horror.
Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
But At the Earth's Core is way better than...
I forgot the
Star
movie.
Wars.
I'm sorry. You don't like Star Wars?
I've seen the first 3. I saw the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian, and I said, all right, I've seen Star Wars, and...
Well,
my dad's a huge Star Wars fan.
I can respect your opinion.
I think he was a little disappointed when he found out at a young age that I was not into Star Wars, but he got me into Star Trek, so there's that.
I can respect your opinion,
Yeah.
That's more than I can say for a lot of people in my class. Like earlier today, you weren't here for this, but I said to someone asked me, I asked them, have you seen any good movies lately? And they were like, well, I saw How I Train Your Dragon and something like recently. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't hate that movie, just to clarify, but I remember I watched it as a kid, and I just thought it was...
I was really into How to Train Your Dragon as a kid, but yeah, I never saw the sequels, but yeah, I love the DS game for How to Train Your Dragon.
It was just one of those things that kind of left no out. And a lot of people have said, why don't you like this? Like, you don't like Lord of the Rings. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I've not seen Lord of the Rings either.
And, what, you think Nightmare Before Christmas is just okay?
Yeah, screw that movie. No, I don't even like that movie. I've seen it so many times. I think...
The thing these people have... listen, this is just an opinion.
Screw that movie. Oh my gosh. If you like that movie, go watch a real stop-motion classic like...
Coraline.
No, screw that movie.
What?
Watch a real stop-motion classic like...
James and the Giant Peach.
Sure, we'll go with that. The giant robot
it's done
shark.
by the same director.
Yeah, I know that. But yeah, the giant robot...
Henry Selick. Misconception that always bugged me about Nightmare Before Christmas
is it that it's a
Tim Burton directed Nightmare Before... No, he did not. He wrote the story and he produced it.
Okay.
His name's on the title. Mm-hmm. He did not direct it.
Okay. But yeah, the giant robot shark from James and the Giant Peach is freaking awesome.
So anyway, we should probably get back to Dinosaurus.
Yes,
we've been on this tangent.
We've been on a very long and just... To be honest, I thought we were finished.
Look, people are entitled to their opinions, okay? That's the end of the discussion. All right, back to Dinosaurus.
Unless you like Nightmare Before Christmas and you think it's great and you make it your entire personality. Anyways, back to Dinosaurus. If you make this your personality, you're awesome.
If you make this movie your personality over something like Jurassic World, you're a good person. Anyway, what rating would you give this movie?
I give this a big fat 8 out of 10.
Okay. I'm going to be nice, and I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Okay, that's respectable. I get that.
I don't hate this movie. I think it's acceptable.
It's got flaws. I can definitely agree to that. Yeah, it is slow in some places. It is very talky.
Yeah. Poster's cool though.
Yeah, it's got pretty sweet poster.
Right. Well, anyway, that's it for now from the podcast. Next time we'll review something we haven't decided yet. Anyway, you guys have a good day.
All right.